probably try to start out playing with no doubt as hard as they can play. It would be quite a feat for them to come in here and knock off one of the top-ranked teams in the state. And no doubt that's what they'll probably come out and try to do.
And they will be fired up from the first. This is one of those situations as the referees look on, and they're absolutely helpless just like we are. And really was not a power failure other than I think some wrong switches were flipped accidentally, and it takes a little time for these lights to come back on, and we hope they all come back on successfully as we're by the second getting more and more light here on the field, Alan.
You bet, Mike. The wind's not going to be a factor much tonight. It's not blowing real hard, and beautiful night for football.
The captains for the Frederick Bombers will be number 1, Ryan Benn, number 68 will be Shea Woodall, and number 11, Greg Hilburn, as they will be escorted to the middle of the field. Across the way for the Dickson Comets will be number 44, and that's Anthony Tubby, and also number 32 will be Matt McWilliams. One of those young men is a fullback and one of them's a linebacker. And we will be, Alan, be watching the toss for us to see what happens. Let me go ahead and give you the Bomber starting lineups on offense tonight. Number 85, John Mitchell, will be starting at the left end or tight end slot, and they will alternate that. At the left tackle or strong tackle will be 63, William Martin. Left guard will be Chad Stone. Brandon Phillips will be doing the center duties. He's done that the entire season. Number 79, Kirk Wilson, will be one of the right guard. Shea Woodall will be the strong tackle. And Greg Hilburn and Jay Carpenter have been alternating the entire year after about that first or second game in that wide receiver slot. In the wingback slot, you won't see on this, but you'll see on the broadcast, Alan, tomorrow on the playback. Number 35, Ty Simmons, will be in that area. Also, Jason Marshall and Clarence Allen will be starting in that. Sidney Gaston will be starting at quarterback. Sidney starting every game so far this season. And number 1, Ryan Benn, will be starting. Ryan in the area of 800 yards so far this season. Kevin Isham, number 21, will be starting at the other running back. And Kevin has over 1,100 yards so far this season. That's the starting lineup for the Bombers. You have the starting Chad Stone will be alternating, and tonight Kirk Wilson will get his first start in there on defense. Linebackers going all the way this year as the Frederick Bombers come on. Clay Johnson, 51, 33, Cheyenne Clark. Number 11, Greg Hilburn, will be a cornerback. Jay Carpenter will be in there at corner also. Tony Wiley will be filling in as a strong safety. At free safety tonight will be number 3, Blake Bolton, a shift there from strong safety over to free safety. And number 5, Millard Parks, will also be one of the strong safeties in there. Also look for Jim Bob Rimple, and Kevin Isham will also be doing some free safety work. Trying to let Kevin have some time on offense, just keep him on offense tonight and see if Blake can fill in there at that free safety.
You bet,
spot.
Mike. Going to try to give a lot of new people, I think, over the course of the night, some new experience. The Comet offense going against that great Bomber defense tonight. Number 12 at quarterback, Charlie Bean. Number 20 at tailback, John Epperson. Number 21, wide receiver, Kevin Lewis. Number 32 at fullback, Matt McWilliams. Admire that in a coach too. Even though tough season, not winning a lot of games, you've got to have discipline. It doesn't matter whether it's on the football field or in the classroom, and you've kind of got to admire the Dickson coach for standing up, having a little backbone, and making some changes in this week's lineup because, like I said, some of the boys had skipped some practice, it didn't come. Well, not only that, does that show those young men might have a problem with a little heart and don't want to play as bad as some of the kids that show up. But you do have to admire the Dickson coach.
Back deep as we're about to have the kickoff underway here. Back deep is Charlie Bean, number 12. Blake Bolton will be doing the kickoff. Bolton did an excellent job last week on the kickoffs as he approaches this ball, and it is a deep kick that will be taken by Bean right at the 1-yard line, and Bean comes up to the 10, 15, 20, comes across the 20 to the 30, and will be forced out of bounds as he had some running room for a minute around the 30-yard line.
I'll tell you what, Mike, kind of made your heart jump there for a minute. Looked like he was going to get around that left side. Had a little
The quarterback as he comes out, and number 21, Kevin Lewis, comes to the near side. Number 12 is Charlie Bean, and he will take the quarterback snaps as McWilliams comes in motion, pitch back to number 20, and that will be Epperson. Epperson will be met right at the line of scrimmage by several Bombers.
bit. Mike, number 3 looked like Blake Bolton, turned him back inside, met by a whole herd or host or whatever we want to call them of Bombers. And
Second and 10, the ball just across the 30 at the 31. No gain on that play as Bean looks over the offense, split backs in the backfield, wide receivers right and left as they try to run the option, and Bean keeps the ball and tries to turn back inside, and he will be stopped very short. At best will be a 1-yard gain. And as they mark it, they do not, they finally move the stick Allen about 1, so it brings up a 3rd and 9 from about the 32.
bet Ward, Shea Woodall, and Dusty Blankenship, not a good side of the line to try to run on, it doesn't look like.
McWilliams and Epperson behind Bean as Bean goes back to pass. Looking deep, now in trouble, scrambling out to his left, and he will be sacked by Blankenship along with Woodall on a loss back to around the 26, 27-yard line, and Bean is hurt. Now he starts to jump up and cannot get up, Alan.
Mike, he's maybe a cramp, we hope, nothing serious. They are leading him off the sidelines. Boy, he was just smothered by the Bomber defense then. A lot of breakdowns on the line. Tries to break to the left side. Nothing over there but him and a lot of red shirts. And big loss on the play.
It brings up a 4th and 15. And the ball is just across the 25 to around the 26-yard line. And back deep will be number 80. And we'll check that number. I believe that's Moody. He's going to punt. He has pressure. It's going to be a short punt, and some Bombers need to get away from the ball, and they do, as the ball will be knocked dead right at the 39-yard line. And that looks like about Alan or John, about a 13-yard punt. So the ball went straight up in the air as the punter was under pressure, and the Bombers had good field position.
Mike, I tell you what, the Dickson punter, I think he owes his life then to one of his backs. He made an excellent block because he was under a lot of pressure trying to get that ball off.
And this is what we call the Polecat offense, as there is a center, a running back. As Ben takes the ball, comes around the 40, down to the 35, down to the 30, breaks inside the 25. He's to the 20, 20 at the 10, 5, touchdown on the Polecat offense. And I will do my best to try to describe to you what that is in just a minute, as Ryan Ben takes the ball at his 39-yard line, races around the inside, around the right side, cuts back to the inside, and goes the distance 39 yards for the touchdown.
Mike, we knew we were going to see a lot of things different tonight, come out in a very unusual set. Dickson just absolutely at a loss in knowing what to do to defend it. They all cover their back men. Ryan Ben breaks around the right side, breaks a tackle or two, goes all the way into the end zone.
Wilson runs on now, comes off as they have too many men, as Jay Carpenter about to set the snap. Good snap. It's down. Martin kick is up, and it's good as the Bombers lead on a one-play drive of 39 yards. PYB 95.9 Frederick. The Polecat offense, in case you're wondering, is when all the offensive linemen go to the left side of the field, there's a split receivers to the right side of the field. In the middle of the field, there is a center by himself, and in the running back, the center is the running back behind that, and Ryan Ben just took the ball as the defense was spread out and raced 39 yards for the touchdown. That's the Polecat offense. And Blake Bolton kicks a deep onside kick, and it will be taken at the 19-yard line, fumbles, and now he picks it up and returns it back to the 30. And that will be number 22 for the Comets, Bradley Collins, as Collins takes it at the 19 and returns it right up to the 30-yard line, gain of 11 on that return.
Bet good coverage again by the Bombers. Mike, back.
It's either the easiest thing to defense or the hardest thing to defense. If you don't have a clue about what's happening, it makes it very difficult to defense. The referee is talking to the Dickson the Comets. Evidently, there was a flag offsides, and it will be declined as they had returned the ball up to the 30, and they will be content to be at the 30-yard line as it will be 1st and 10 at the 30. Bombers leading 7-0 early here in the first quarter. New quarterback, and that will be number 9, Morrow, for the Comets, as Morrow hands off up the middle, and good running room as he goes over the left side, and that will be number 20, John Epperson, and Epperson will go ahead for 4 yards as he snakes his way over the left side. Ball will be spotted just shy of the 35-yard line, 2nd and 5, as Morrow, the new quarterback for the Dickson Comets, looks over the defense. Morrow has a little trouble with the step, now hands it off back to Epperson, and Epperson will be met behind the line of scrimmage, and he will lose 1. And check that was 22, Bradley Collins, as Millard Parks there in the strong safety, as Coach Jones calls it. Actually, it's kind of like a combination safety cornerback, and they hand off to number 22, and that will be Epperson again, as he will get very close to the first down and possibly has it as he crosses the 40-yard line on the straight dive play, and that will be a first down for the Comets. In the interior defensive line, as Morrow looks over the defense and hands off to the first man through on the option play, and that's 22, Bradley Collins. And Collins, no, that's 32, as he gets up now. That will be McWilliams, as he will be stopped behind the line for a loss of 1.
Right, to lose about a yard on the play.
And Morrow, the quarterback for the Comets, will look over the defense as they shift down and hand off back to number 20, and that will be Epperson as he goes over the left side for a short gain of about 3, possibly 4 yards. We'll see when they spot it. They will give him 4 as he is up to the 44-yard line, still aiming to put something together here as Lewis for the Comets comes to the right side of the field. They have split receivers both sides, tight end right, I formation, as it looked like for a minute they were going to try to reverse, but Epperson or Collins comes to the right and is met behind the line of scrimmage, and there will be a loss of 1.
Right, Mike. Little number 70, Derek Miller, comes from the right side of the Bomber line.
Defensive play will be 4th and 7. The ball between the 38 and 39 as Dickson's in punting formation now. Back deep is Ryan Ben, and almost blocked. Ryan Ben asked for the fair catch, hits one of the Dickson Comets in the helmet, and that will be a penalty, as you have to give the young man catching the ball an opportunity to do it, and when it hits you in the helmet, you haven't given him an opportunity.
Not much, Mike. He had his back to the ball, very high punt, not long. I think the young man anticipated the ball going downfield a little farther than that. It came down, hit him right in the back of the head.
18-yard punt as they set that, and it hit one of the defensive men right on top of the helmet. And the Frederick Bombers will be taking the penalty, I presume, here, and that should put them across the 40-yard line. We'll see what they call this penalty, and we will keep it here and not break. But Ryan Ben taking the option from the referee, and the Bombers should have 1st and 10 in very good position. We'll see if they come out in the polecat this time.
Right, Mike. For those of you who just joined us, clock at 5 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Score is 0, Dickson 0, Frederick 7.
And the Frederick Bombers have decided that they want to make the Dickson Comets punt again, and that will bring up a 4th and about, looks like about 20. Are about to get the punt back for the second time as Alan Shelton for the Comets. Number 84 will be there to punt. And it looks like the Bombers trying to block it. They have no men back. And there it is. It will be rough. The punter will be roughed as the ball goes to the 45. And Ryan Ben hit Mr. Shelton, not severely, just kind of rolled, but we'll see what happens here.
Right, Mike came in. A lot of that might have been just a tad of acting, but However, he did brush him as he came in, thought he had the block, and they will decide what they're going to do right here. They'll take the penalty probably. Won't give them a first down, I don't think, but they will make it about 4th and 7. They'll probably punt one more time. We may be here a while, folks. Don't go away.
And down. So even though they do not get the yardage, that will be an automatic first down. And even though they now he's showing first down, and they do finally move the sticks. There's some confusion on the referees on the sideline, but that will be an automatic first down, even though the 15 yards was not enough for the first down yardage. Very costly penalty.
Big break for the Dickson Comets, Mike.
One of those situations where you give up the ball in that situation by taking that penalty. So it will be a 1st and 10 automatic first down, as Morrow is still the quarterback for the Dickson Comets, and we'll see if the Bombers can keep the Dickson Comets from another first down here, as they're the ball resting about the 48-yard line. Morrow pitches back to number 20, and that is Epperson, and Epperson will be met at the line of scrimmage, and very, very short gain, if not a short loss there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, he goes to the left side. The Bombers pursue the ball exceptionally well that time.
Good team defense for the Bombers, as Morrow is in the game after Bean was knocked out on about the first series. Morrow hands off up the middle, and he will be knocked for no gain, and that's McWilliams, as he is met right at the line of scrimmage and then driven back about 5 yards. And depending where they spot his forward progress, and they end up giving him a yard, good spot on.
Driven backwards about 5 yards, just exactly like you said.
We'll have a 3rd and a long 8 or 7. As Morrow looks over the defense again, another 3rd down play for the Comets. We'll see if they can convert. Option play to Morrow. He has some running room around the left side, crosses the 50 and crosses the 45, as there was only one man for the Bombers there, and he had to take the pitch man, and Morrow was able to go ahead for the first down. And Dickson Comets have another first down, ball resting on the 44-yard line. Bombers leading 7-0 here, 3:18 left to go in the first quarter. Morrow pitches back, and he will be met by Millard Parks, and that's Epperson, as he's met by Millard Parks behind the line of scrimmage for about a 2-yard loss.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, nobody ever touched number 5, Millard Parks. He
most of the time here. And split backfield, receivers both right and left, tight end to the right. Morrow looks over for the Comets, goes back to pass, throws a pass that's intercepted at the 30, at the 40, at the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, as it was intercepted around the 40-yard line, 45-yard line, and he took it on the run at the 50, and then went to the 40 and all the way down the sideline, and it was history at that point, because I believe that was Tony Wiley, had an open field in front of him, and he returns after the Bombers' second touchdown. They still have had 14 or 13-0 here. They still have only had one offensive series and one offensive play.
That's right, and we hadn't had very many first downs yet, Mike.
And Carpenter will be on the hold as Martin prepares the kick. And Phillips will be the long snapper. Good snap. It's down. Martin's kick is up and looks good. It is good. Bombers leading 14-0, 2:29 left, 5.9. Frederick. We're ready to kick off here at the Bomber Bowl as Blake Bolton about to kick. Bombers leading 14-0, and by virtue of one play on offense and an interception return for a touchdown. Blake Bolton's kick is up, and it will be taken by McWilliams right about the 8-yard line. McWilliams comes across the middle, has some running room, breaks into the open, still on his feet, across the 35 down to the 39, as the Comets doing a very good job on the kickoff returns. It looked like for a minute that McWilliams might go all the way, as he was spun around about the 30, had an open field, and was finally brought down at the 39.
He was going all the way, however, they did bring him down.
Epperson and McWilliams, and at the backs behind number 9, Jimmy Morrow for the Comets. The ball at the 39 now, as they finally spot it, and that will be handed off on the first man through. And I believe that is going to be Epperson, as he will get short yardage. across the left side, and they will give him 2, bring up a 2nd and 8 as he crosses the 40-yard line down to the pass at around the 42-43 and race that all the way back for a touchdown. They lead 14-0 here still in the first quarter. Morrow hands off to number 22, and that is Bradley Collins, and he has short yardage over the left side, running from the I-back slot, or the tailback slot, and he will go ahead for short yardage, and they will give him 2.
Big defensive line for Frederick, just holding solid right there, not giving up much up that middle. They're going to have to go somewhere besides up the middle of the field.
We'll see if they try to test Greg Hilburn over on this side. They come and they indeed throw to the left side, and the quarterback will be sacked as the ball comes loose, and it will be ruled incomplete. And for the Frederick Bombers, that was number 66.
James Charles, Mike, I'm telling you, he came in there, and about the time the Dickson quarterback got ready to release the ball, the young man did hammer him.
And the ball will be spotted at the 44-yard line, and that goes as an incomplete pass. Ellen Shelton will be punting again, and Bombers rush again. A little bit better punt this time as it still falls short and will be killed at the 34-yard line as the Bombers will take over again, we think, for their second offensive series, and we see what they will run. You're listening KYB 95.9. Lose 4. They're in the Polecat offense again. That's a spread offense, and it's 2nd and 14. And that will be into the first quarter. Bombers leading 14-0. Let's take a minute timeout. You're listening to KYBE 95.9 Frederick. Be a 2nd and 14. Missed that first play before quarter, and the Bombers in a Polecat offense again. 2 receivers to the left, all the line over to the right sideline, makes the center an eligible receiver as Ryan Ben looks back. And Ryan Ben under pressure now as he goes to the left side, comes around, crosses the 45, 35, across the 40. And Ryan will go ahead for about a 7 or 8 yard gain. As we described that again, the whole entire offensive line mark. This time the Frederick Bombers come out in their standard offense, not quite standard, that is the inverted wishbone. And there's a handoff up the middle, and I believe that will be Blake Bolton, as Blake Bolton will go ahead for about 3 or 4 yards and will pick up the first down. Blake Bolton inserted in there, Allen, in that inverted wishbone.
Right,
Bombers leading 14-0 as they have gone long distance on a couple of plays. That is the first offensive rushing first down for the Bombers. 1st and 10 from the 49, for the 44. Hand off to the second man through, and that's Kevin Isham as he goes from his 44 down to the 49, gain of 5, bring up a 2nd and 5. Good tailback is behind the halfbacks rather than being in front of them, which would be a standard wishbone. Now as they bring 2 receivers to the right, to the left, the long setback is Kevin Isham, 2nd and 5. As Ryan Ben, as the quarterback, comes around the right side on the option to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, makes a cut at the 20, and will stay on his feet and go all the way into the end zone as Ryan Ben taking the snap there at quarterback and goes all the way from his 49, 51 yards, and goes to the end zone.
Well, I'll tell you what, excellent job of running. Mike goes around the right side. A good block set up by Kevin Isham. Looked like 1 or 2 Dickson players had a shot at him. He avoids the tackles, does a little juking and jiving right on into the end zone.
Ryan Ben came in trailing Kevin Isham a little bit this week in yardage, and Coach Jones wanted to make sure that he showcased Ryan's talents tonight. Ryan already has 2 carries, or 3 carries, about 89, 90 yards. He's already to the close 100-yard mark, as William Martin's kick is good. And Ryan Ben goes over the 100-yard mark with that run at 10:03 left to go in the second quarter. The Bombers lead 21-0. And we'll take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick, as he has played quarterback that in the traditional offense and went 51 yards around the right side on the option play for the touchdown. Bombers leading 21-0, and we still have 10:03 left in the second quarter.
You bet, Mike. Been a fun ball game up to this point if you're a Frederick Bomber. Dickson probably doesn't think quite that way. We've seen a lot of new sets tonight, a lot of new things we've not seen this year. Kind of been interesting.
And Blake Bolton will again be kicking off for the Frederick Bombers, as they will be moving from north toward the south, and the Dickson Comets will be moving from south to north. Looks like the deep onside kick, and it will be fielded. No, it will be fumbled, and there is a scramble on the deep onside kick, and we'll see who has it, and the Frederick Bombers have it, as no one from Dickson got over there to cover it, and one of the Bombers had a chance to catch it on the fly and was not able to hold on, and about 8 or 9 people had a shot at it, and the Frederick Bombers come up with it, and they will have it 1st and 10 at the 38-yard line in Comet territory.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, that one Bomber player, I didn't get his number, but he did almost catch that kick in midair before it ever hit the ground.
Didn't see who that was. It was possibly Cheyenne Clark or Tony Wally out there as they were racing down the field. And Gaston back in the ball game, handing off to Isham, and he explodes through the left side. Last week we called him Rocket. We'll continue to do that, I guess, until someone tells us not to, but Isham will explode through the left side for 8 yards.
With such quickness, it's amazing to watch him to run the middle like that, and he is very quick.
Gaston looking over the defense, receivers to the right. Gaston on the option will keep the ball himself and get across from his 30 down to very close to 25-yard line. He had to get across to 27 to get the first down, and he will have it as they will spot it at the 25-yard line. And
let a lot of kids that haven't seen a lot of playing time get in and out of the game tonight. Going to keep it kind of interesting.
Mitchell tight end to the left, Simmons and Hilburn to the right as they hand to Kevin Isham, and he will go on that little trap play straight ahead to the close to the 20-yard line, and that will be a gain of 5.
Still playing pretty good football.
And this will sound very dry, but Dickson is a much improved football team from last year, and have been in most of their ball games, giving a lot of people problems. Bombers handling right now as Isham has some running room up the middle, and he will go from his 20, crosses the 15 down to around the 13-yard line, and that will be very close for a first down. Indeed, it is a first down, so he had to get to the 15. He crosses it down to the, let's call it the 12 now, and it will be 1st and 10. Bombers can
start going into the game, seeing a lot of Bomber players come in and out.
Gaston looking over the defense as Carpenter, Hilburn to the right side. There's the option play as a handoff to the first man through, and that will be Kevin Isham. It looked like that Sidney wanted to pull it back out, but Isham will go over the left side for short yardage, giving
game.
And Gaines and Amick's in the ball game. As Gaston looks over the defense, down the inside, he hands off up the middle, and that will be handed off. But we'll check that. I believe that's to Ryan Ben, as he will go straight ahead in heavy traffic, and they will spot it right at the 5, maybe just across the 5-yard line. It will bring up a 3rd and 2.5, 3 yards.
Right, Mike, first down before they get to the end zone.
Morey and Hilburn in for the Bombers as they're trying to get a lot of people into the game and switching these wide receivers. Morey goes in motion, split backs in the backfield, hand to Ryan Ben straight up the middle, right tackle, and Dickson Comets make a pretty good play there in Allen and stop Ryan Ben for short yardage. That will be a 4th down, as they say that was for no gain. Very good play by the defensive tackle for the Dickson Comets.
Say what held him then to little or no gain.
Allen and Marshall come in for the Bombers. They're flanked right and left. Gaston looking over the defense. He will hand Isham up the middle, and he will get close. He is in for the touchdown, as he had an opening at the 5 and was knocked down and was able to break that plane, and Isham will get his first rushing touchdown there on a gain of about 5 yards.
Well,
and the Bombers go ahead 27-0.
You know, once again, Mike, you just watch Kevin. You're just amazed every time he takes the ball. He's so quick. If there's a crease anywhere and he gets a step or two to get to it, you're not going to slow him down. He's just such a stout, quick, strong runner.
And Brandon Phillips getting ready to snap the ball. Carpenter holding, and William Martin puts the kicking shoe on, and he's ready to go. There's a snap, high snap, but it's down as Martin goes ahead and kicks it through, and it will be no good, as the snap was just a little bit high, and Carpenter had to go up to get it, and it threw their timing off, and Martin's not able to convert that. Let's take a 30-second timeout. Bombers leading 27-0 here, 5:38 left to go in the second quarter. You're listening to KYBE Frederick, and they lead 27-0 here in the second quarter. We'll see if the Bombers decide to kick deep, as one thing the Dickson Comets have been able to do, Alan, they have been able to return punts with McWilliams back there.
Mike, they have been successful.
Kickoffs.
Done a good job, and you know, you've got to admire them. They're still trying. They haven't gone home yet.
Bolton's kick is taken by McWilliams at the 10-yard line, and he will get back still on his feet, fighting forward, and a very good run back by McWilliams, as he was hit around the 20-yard line, and he struggles forward to get back to the 25 and to keep his feet, and he's finally brought down around the 26-yard line. Don't go anywhere at halftime, as we will be doing the statistics for you, and we'll also be announcing the finals of the JC run, pass, and kick contest. Morrow hands off straight up the middle to number 32. That will be McWilliams, as he is one of the few Comets that's had success, and he will go straight ahead over the left side and gain 5 yards there. And Bombers making some substitutions in there on their defensive set. Morrow looking over the Bomber defense and will be on the option play, and there is a fumble, and the Bombers have a chance to get it. We'll see if they got it or the ball was knocked out of bounds. And the Bombers have it, as Morrow ran the option play and pitched it wildly back to Collins, and Collins was not able to handle it. And Hughes, along with some other players, as it was right in front of the bench, able to jump down there and able to recover that fumble on the Bombers' 27-yard line. Excuse me.
You know, when it rains, it pours. Dickson not having a good night.
Gaston still in at quarterback. Isham and Ben split backfield behind him. There's a handoff to Isham, goes across the right side, and he will get across the 27, across the 25, down to about the 23-yard line, and that will be a pickup around 4 yards. Brings up a 2nd and 6.
Ball time. A lot of shuffling in and out tonight.
Marshall and Morey in there on the left side. Mitchell tight end. There's the option play. Gaston keeping himself, going around the left side, has some running room. Now pitches at the 20, 15, 10, 5, and Ben dives for the end zone, and he gets it. And that was a very good pitch, as Gaston went around the inside left side, gained about 5 yards, and then met some resistance and pitched it perfectly to Ryan Ben, and he goes the rest of the distance for the touchdown. And the Bombers, on a couple of plays, have another touchdown, leading 33-0, 3:36 left to go in the second quarter.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, that's the way the option's designed to run. Sidney takes the ball to the left side, holds it as long as he can. His trail man stays right with him. When he runs out of room, he makes a little pitch to the back to his trail man, and into the end zone he goes.
And Phillips will be snapping again to Carpenter. as Martin has a shoe on and he's ready. There's a snap. The kick this could be missed again. And no, it's through as it just went inside the left pole. Very high kick. And William Martin kicks that one through at 3:36 left to go in the second quarter. Bombers leading 34-0. Let's take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYBE Bomber Football. Kids not to run touchdowns, but this one is very fastly getting away from the Comets.
Right, Mike. When a young kid comes out, works hard all year, and finally comes to a game when they can have a little fun at, feel really successful, do a lot of things that they enjoy doing, it's just awfully hard to tell them to not do it.
Mick Williams and Collins Epperson back deep for the Comets. Blake Bolton has the ball teed up at the 40, and he will kick deep. And this ball will be taken by McWilliams at the 10, comes back toward the middle of the field, and he will be hit right at the 25-yard line and knocked down by 7 or 8 Bombers at the 25. McWilliams has been really the lone back for the Comets who has been able to do anything at all against the Bomber defense or return teams.
Right.
And Bombers now doing a very good job last couple of times on the kickoff team. Morrow still in the ball game for the Comets, and he pitches back to number 20, and that's Epperson, and Epperson is drilled by Wiley and Jim Charles, I believe, and Clay Johnson, and I tell you what, it hurt me up here to see him get hit that hard.
And I'll tell you what,
as the Lewis goes to the right for the Comets. They hand off again up the middle. There's a fumble on the play, and I do believe that the number 25 Carpenter will recover that ball. And again, the running back was drilled, and I didn't see who that was. That Bolton who came up and drilled him then, or Clay Johnson, and he had no chance. He was hit so hard the ball came out, and the Bombers have it again, 1st and 10 from their 25.
we sure like to beat them, but you'd like to see it be a little different than this, but it's kind of nice to have one like this every once in a while.
You bet. As Blake Bolton is now the quarterback for the Bombers. He, on the option play, comes around the left side, and he will get a couple as he faked to Kevin Isham over the left side, kept the ball, and went around the left side, and they will give him 3, brings up a 2nd and 7 team so far.
Right, Mike, and like you said, starting to see some changes, new quarterbacks, still different players coming in and out. A lot of young men going to get a chance to play tonight, looks like.
Bombers leading 34-0 here, 1:35 left to go in the first half. A handoff to Isham. There's a flag on it, and it was thrown at one of the offensive linemen. As Isham was able to go about 5 yards ahead, that will be a holding penalty, and that may be the only thing that saves the Comets tonight.
Right, Mike, it'll back the ball up. Frederick moving the ball pretty much at will, and this will bring them back and make them work a little bit harder.
And that will be a major penalty. We'll move it back, a 10-yard penalty, be moving it back, and that will be 2nd down, and we'll call it about 18 yards. Bombers leading 34-0, 1:25 left to go in the first half. Blake Bolton, the quarterback. Tony Wiley in the game for Ryan Ben now, and one of the running backs. Bombers making quite a few substitutions. Hand off the ball back to Isham. He's got running room, still on his feet as he spins it to 20, down to the 15, down to the 10, as Kevin Isham came back across from the running back position, the left side, went to the right side, and was able to negotiate some good inside yardage down for the 1st and 10 right at the 10-yard line. We'll call almost had his 2nd touchdown. Bolton at quarterback, Wiley, Isham in the backfield. Split backs there as Bolton looking over the defense. 1st and 10 at the 11. Tony Wiley is hit at the line of scrimmage and then stood up and will get no gain or very short yardage.
Mike hit the right side of the line. Dickson, still playing football out there. It
will end up being a A gain down inside the 10 will bring up a 2nd and 7. Hand off to Isham up the middle, and he will get down across the 5-yard line, and we'll see where they spot it. It will be very close to touchdown, and the time will run out as he is stopped short of the goal line, and that's basically a mercy play at that point, as he was stopped on about the 1-yard line, and time runs out as the coaches didn't try to call timeout and get another touchdown out.
Right, Mike. You know, you got a team down. You don't want to just grind it in them and make it hurt. So let's go to the locker room, talk it over, and see what happens the second half.
So after 30 minutes of play in the first half, the Bombers lead 34-0 here at Bomber Field at the Bomber Bowl. Let's take a 2-minute timeout. You're listening to KYBE 95.9 Frederick.
Be only 10 cents a cup. 44-ounce fountain drinks for 59 cents. So stop by your one-stop convenience store, Hop and Sack, on East Gladstone and Frederick.
Frederick Cablevision, located at 110 South Main in Frederick, would like to take this time to congratulate head coach Ed Jones, the entire coaching staff, and the 1994 Frederick Bombers for their hard work and success during the 94 football season. Stop by Frederick Cablevision and talk with Brad or Robin about this month's special, or feel free to call 335-7531. Brad and Robin at Frederick Cablevision wishes the Bombers good luck during the remainder of the 94 football season. Go Bombers! We're behind you all the way.
Enroll now for fall classes at the Great Plains area Votech Tillman Kiowa campus. Enroll now in secretarial training. This open entry, open exit.
As we'll be picking up the deep men for the Bombers will be Bolton, number 3, and number 1. Ryan B. and Millard Parks will be stationed around the 15-yard line to the right side, and Clarence Allen in the middle will be one of the short men in the middle, along with number 33, Cheyenne Clark, and Hilburn, number 11 over there. We'll see if they try to do some type of an onside kick, and that will be number 70, Gerard Carpenter, for the Comets. Carpenter, 6'2", 196 senior. We're about to be underway here as Carpenter kicks a short kick taken by Cheyenne Clark, and he is down immediately as Cheyenne tries to get up off of his feet and does a handstand as he's brought down by Derek Knight for the Comet.
I'm not sure what that was, but that's an unusual way to get up from the ball, Mike.
Cheyenne, I believe Allen and I would be able to get up. Nevertheless, the ball will be at the 42-yard line. Gaston in the quarterback, Ben and Isham behind him, split backfield. Hand off to Isham on the middle on the option as he goes over the left side. Gaston trying to pull it back out, but Isham is wrestled down after about a 4-yard gain, and it will be 2nd and 6. The third quarter just starting, second half. Bombers leading 34-0. Gaston on the handoff to Isham to the 45-40 down to the 35-yard line as Kevin Isham crosses the 35 down to the 34. Just a simple handoff off of the left side as Rocket Isham propels down across the 35.
Mike, just another one of the...
I think if this first offense is able to get the ball in the end zone, this may be the last time you see Isham and Ben in the ball game, along with most of the first offensive set. Handoff to Isham again over the left side as I believe Coach Jones allowing him to get some yardage there, and he will go down just shy of the 30-yard line, and that will be a gain of around 4.
Good defensive play on their part on that last play.
Stanley, that tackle over there, is 6'2", 269, so a pretty good-sized young man. There's the option down around the right side as they faked it to Ben, and Gaston under a lot of pressure in there, and he will be tackled for no gain. Actually, they give him about a foot, and it will be still third and a long 6.
See what the Bombers do here.
Isham and Ben in the backfield. Gaston, the quarterback. Tied in to the left, that's Mitchell. Hand off to Isham and breaks a tackle down to across the 25, down to the 20, and he will get across the 20 down to around the 17-yard line as Kevin Isham just taking the ball straight over the left side and picking up good yardage enough to get the 1st and 10, pushing that 1,300-yard mark for the season. Ryan Ben's over 1,000 yards for the season in this ball game. 1st and 10 at the 17. Gaston on the option, pitches back to Isham, crosses at the 20, crosses the 20, down to the 15, down to around the 14-yard line on the option play as they pitch back to Isham, and he took it deep in his own backfield on the pitch and able to get about a 5-yard gain, up this 1st and 10.
Right, Mike. You've got to give Dickson a little credit on that last play. Very good job of defense on that option.
8:27, Bombers leading 34-0 as Carpenter comes in motion. There's the option play. He hands off to Kevin Isham. Very good fake. He goes across the left side and will get close to the 10-yard line and the 1st and 10. Good fake by Gaston in as he handed off to Isham and continued to run the option. And Isham comes out of the game after carrying the ball 6 of 7 times. Bolton is back there at one of the running backs along with Wiley. There's a flag on the play as looked like that Bolton was able to, on the option play, to get down across the 5, but it very well may be illegal motion as soon as the ball was snapped, the flag went straight up in the air from the guy in the backfield, and that's not a good sign.
Right, Mike. I believe that's number 20 in the backfield now, Scott Matthews.
Okay, Matthews.
Hang in there. You'll get it right in a minute.
And as we start making wholesale changes, bear with us, folks. We'll try to get everyone in we possibly can. And Gaston goes back to pass, throws across the middle, good for John Mitchell, and that would be good for a touchdown. And you might ask, why would they pass? And the reason is the Bombers have, going into the playoffs, they have got to run their offense, Allen, and they needed to try some of that. One of the things Coach Jones wanted to do was look at that tight end, and Gaston is able to find the tight end on about the 2, and Mitchell goes in for the touchdown, and that will be an 11-yard play, and Bombers lead 40-0.
That's right, Mike. A lot of times during the course of the season, you don't get the opportunity to work on some things that you'll need down the road or would like to work on due to the toughness of the game, toughness of the schedule. As the extra point is good, this is a night that the coaches and the players both have the opportunities to work on some things that they might possibly need down the road.
And Bolton kicks the extra point through. It's 41-0. Let's take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick. For the sophomore Mitchell, as Coach Jones wanting to see if we could throw a pass to tight end, and it is indeed successful. And the Bombers now leading 7-22 ahead 41-0 here with a lot of time left to go in the third quarter. And probably on this next offensive series the Bombers have, you're going to see a lot of players, and we will be glad to try to get all those players in. Blake Bolton teeing the ball up at the 40-yard line. Back deep is Collins and McWilliam for the Comets, and it will be taken by Epperson coming to the inside, has some running room, and will be knocked down at the 25 or the 35-yard line. Check that. Do not see any flags, so the Comets will take over at their own 35-yard line. And I'm not sure, did the Comets cross into Bomber territory that one time?
Mike, I believe maybe the one time earlier tonight they did. That, of course, is the only time they've done that tonight.
And they will have it at their own 35 as they make some substitutions with Morrow is in at quarterback still. And they will hand off over the left side, and I believe that will be number 20, Epperson, and Epperson will go over his left side and twist forward for a couple. And as they spot it, we don't even see the, now they finally move it, and they'll give him a yard. And it brings Lewis and Miller come to the left side for the Comets. Morrow, long count, throwing it back to Collins, coming around, has some running room around the left side, and he is hit by Carpenter. Carpenter lifts him off the ground and knocks him out of bounds, but Collins is able to get a first down and get across the 45-yard line to the 46 before he's knocked out of bounds, and that will be the first and 10 for the Comets in this second half.
All right, Mike, good job by Mr. Carpenter to come up, put the hit on the boy, and knock him out of bounds then.
Miller and Lewis go to the left this time, tight end to the right, pitch back to Collins around the right side, has some running room, and he is drilled by Cheyenne Clark right at the line of scrimmage and able to spin and go keep his feet and go ahead for about 3 yards.
Very good hit, good defense. Did a good job of running, but the Bombers were there.
Ball resting at the 49 in Comet territory as the play is blown dead with a flag, and that should be either encroachment or we'll wait and see, an offensive penalty as the Comets, and that will be offsides against the Comets as they were on the 49, and I was about to move across the 50-yard line and into Bomber territory, and they draw a 5-yard penalty, and that will put them back around the 44.
Right, Mike.
Go in the game for the Bombers. Bombers beginning to make some substitutions. Also, number 9, Blake Callahan in at the defensive corner.
Number 43, Jim Bob Rempel.
And there's a handoff to Epperson in the backfield, and some of these young men coming in the ball game for the first time, and I believe that that's Matthews there along with Bolton making the tackle on the backfield, and there'll be a loss.
Right, Mike.
J.D. Thayer also in at one of the linebacker slots, along with Matthews. Morrow looking over the defense, pitches back on the halfback pass, and Coach Jones said they'd do this, and it's intercepted. Intercepted by Carpenter as both the offensive and defensive man went up on the halfback pass, and Carpenter able to wrestle it away at the 30-yard line from the offensive man for the Comets that he's down. And as he wrestles around, they finally both go down around the 25-yard line, and Comets had a man open, but Carpenter made a good defensive play.
Tell you what it was, Mike. Both young men go up in the air, both get their hands on the ball. Carpenter just takes control of the situation and takes the ball away from him. Bombers take over, 1st and 10.
And the Bombers will have it at their own 26, a third quarter score from Marlow. The Marlow Outlaws leading the Long Grove Longhorns 43-8. So that is a no contest in Marlow. And we do not have any word from the Medill Plainview score as Plainview needs to go ahead and win out so that Frederick will have an opportunity to win this district, as there is a 3-way tie right now between Frederick, Marlow, and Plainview. And the Frederick Bombers will have it 1st and 10 at their own 26, and that will be thrown incomplete. Number 14 is the new quarterback, Brian Chandler, and he throws incomplete to Simmons down around the 35, as we have a whole host of new Bombers in there, Alan. In the backfield is Blake Bolton and Matthews. Gaines comes out to the left side along with Charlie Gant. Handoff to Matthews, and he will have short yardage. Looks like 2, possibly 3 as they spot it. He will bring up a 3rd down and 7 as they do give him 3. Bombers need to cross the 37-yard line to be able to goes out to the left. Morey comes to the right. 88 is a tight end for the Bombers, and back to pass is Chandler, and he will be sacked at the 20-yard line as he was looking downfield for Marshall, but never had an opportunity to It looks like they will spot it at the 23. Never had an opportunity to really get the ball off, and it will be
like a lot of these new players, not seeing a lot of playing time, making some few adjustments. This is why they're in there. Get a little experience, learn how to make the blocks, and be successful in the positions they're playing.
And Bolton gets his punt blocked, and it will be taken at the 20 by number 99, and he's going to race to the end zone, and he stops short at the 1-yard line, and that punt was blocked. Blake Bolton's punt was blocked and picked up by number 99 for the comments, and that was Derek Knight, Derek Knight, a 5'10", 241 sophomore, who picked it up at the 20 and returned it all the way to the inside the 1-yard line. And we thought he was going to score, and then the Bombers, Bolton and some of the other Bombers, able to get over there and deny him the end zone. And Bombers trying to get some people in and out as Morrow looks over the defense. McWilliams behind me. Morrow will take it himself over the left side on the quarterback sneak and will score as the Dickson Comets will get their first touchdown here on the foot of the block punt.
You bet, Mike. Not going to be a lot of consolation, but that might make them feel just a little bit better on that long drive home.
Well, one of the, in all fairness to Blake, a lot of the second-team offense in, and I don't know how many times they've had to punt in a varsity game, and there was a lot of men in there on Blake when he tried to kick.
Right, Mike. A lot of these young men, they've seen a lot of time on junior varsity this year, and have had a lot of success there. But a little different deal. Big hometown crowd tonight. They go in, they're probably just a little bit antsy, and not doing the kind of blocking then maybe they have been doing.
Here trading 41-6 in the third quarter.
Right, Mike. At this point, it doesn't matter a lot. Maybe might boost their ego a little bit if they could go for two and make it, and that looks like exactly what they're going to try to do.
And they run their own play against their own version of the Polecat against the second defense, and the second defense is in, so they're having a little trouble with it. And there's a pass over to number 88, and he will go into the end zone for the 2-point extra point. And that's Greg Miller, as the second defense in there had a little trouble adjusting to Dickson version of the Polecat. And the 2-point conversion is good, and it's 41-8. Let's take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick. And the 2-point conversion was good on the Comets doing their own razzle-dazzle on that 2-point conversion, and they get it. It's 41-8, 2:41 left to go in this third quarter as they're about to kick off, and that will be number 70, Jerry Carpenter, has it teed up and will be kicking. We'll see if they try an onside again or they try to go deep against the Bombers, and it will be a short kick, and it will be taken by Millard Parks, number 5, and Parks trying to return it around to the 30 as that kick was taken as it was bouncing through the front line, and Parks finally picked it up as it was rolling around and returns it back to around the 31.
Little hard ground ball is kind of what it looked like coming in position.
Chandler in the quarterback for the Bombers. In behind him is number 3, Blake Bolton. And they'll hand it off to Blake Bolton, and he will come across the 35 down to the 38. Along with Blake Bolton there is Cheyenne Clark in the backfield. And Bolton will take it straight ahead to about a 7-yard gain, bring up a 2nd and 3. Left behind Clark. And Dickson tries to get some people off. It'll be complete to Simmons at the 50, at the 45, at the 40, down to the 35, as the Comets were trying to make some substitutions, and there was not a quarterback out on Simmons, and Chandler very wisely just looked up and threw it out there, and it will be good all the way down to the 34-yard line in Comet territory. And this is one of those situations where this is almost like a new ball game for these young men in. They're just trying to move the ball however they
Mike,
can.
They want to come out and make a showing, do the best that they can do, and did a pretty good job of doing just that on that last play.
They sure did. There's the option play as Chandler goes down the line, is in trouble, and he will be knocked down at the 39-yard line as he will lose about 6 or 7. Good play in there by the defense, and I believe that was number 36, Kenny Ned.
Right, Mike, big loss on the play. He came across with the option. Pitch man kind of went ahead of him to block for him. Looked like that time a lot of Dickson Comets coming in to make the tackle.
And Dickson, of course, coming up very close on the line of scrimmage. Matthews in the game with Bolton in the backfield. Chandler, the quarterback. Chandler takes a snap, hands off to Bolton, and he will get ahead for short yardage, about 3. The Dickson players say that he fumbled. The referee says, I believe he's down, and the referee will win that argument. And it will be a 3rd and 4 as the Bombers need to get down across the 35-yard line to around the vicinity of the 34.
You know, I've noticed that about those referees, Mike. They're even right when you and I think they're wrong.
That's right. They're always right. That's one thing we have learned. And it will be a 3rd and 4. 14, as there was a big loss. And we're trying to be optimistic and just look at the front stake there, Alan.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, quite a mix-up on that play. 2 Bombers on that handoff ran together really hard,
Dixon
dropped
recovered
the ball, and Dickson does come up with the football.
Mix-up in the backfield, as John was correcting me from 4 to 14, and that was your fault, John. You must have distracted the players. That's all we got. The Bombers leading 41-8. Let's take a minute timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick.
Finesse or Amber herbicide. They have the most up-to-date seed cleaning facility in Oklahoma with fast and accurate cleaning and treating of your wheat seed. No long lines are waiting to get your seed ready for planting. Your seed wheat will be ready when you need it now. That's Cassidy Grain Company, 335-2104 here in Frederick.
We're back in Bomber Bowl where one play is just at the end of the play as we came back, and there was a pass intended for Greg Miller on the right side around the 50-yard line, and it is broken up and fall incomplete. As we start the 4th quarter, Bombers leading 41-8. The ball will be resting at the 40-yard line.
You bet, Mike. Number 34, Jason Marshall, I believe, came up and broke up that last play.
And we have the big sheet out as we're trying to get all the players in here. Pass across the middle. It will be intercepted by Marshall as it was tipped in there, I believe, by either Matthews or number 52, Thayer, and Marshall's able to intercept it around the 45.
Right, Mike. Looked like number 80 for Dickson got his hands up in the air, just kind of bounced it off his fingertips, comes right down in the arms of Jason Marshall. Bombers take over, 1st and 10.
5-yard line as Chandler comes back into the game for the Bombers at quarterback. Behind him are Bolton, and I believe that's Matthews. Chandler goes back to pass for Hilburn. He will have it at the 32-yard line. Fingertip catch as Chandler went back and threw it down to the 32-yard line. And good pass by Brian Chandler for Hilburn, and that will bring up a 1st and 10. And Alan, you're in the situation, do you just keep running in the middle, and or do you just play football with some of these 2nd group and 3rd group kids that are going in? And I think you just have to play football like they're doing.
That's exactly right, Mike. These kids worked hard all year. They deserve to get out there and show what they can do, and that's just exactly the way they ought to do it.
Chandler on the option and has some trouble as he will be tackled around the 35. Did not have the opportunity to pitch, wanted to, but he was in the grasp of a defender, and he will lose around the 4. Brings up a 2nd and 14, just right at the 35 in common territory.
Right, Mike. A lot of new faces in the backfield. A lot of these kids haven't had the opportunity to run these plays as a unit. Pitchman got out a little bit in front of him again, didn't have the opportunity to make the good pitch, just had to take the ball and go down.
Riggins at tight end, and Bates comes out as Chandler looks over on the option play, pitches back to Bolton, has some running room at the 40, at the 30, at the 20, and will be knocked down at the 15-yard line as Blake Bolton having the opportunity to run the ball a little bit this year, and that's very important, Alan, because these young men playing right now may be called on in a situation where that young man in front of them may go down with an injury or something.
You bet, Mike. You never know. Anything can happen in this game, and they need this experience, need the opportunity to learn and progress, and you're right. You never will know when they need to come in.
Ball wrestling at the 15, handed off to Matthews up the middle, and he fights forward for good yardage down around the 5-yard line, and that will be very close for another first down as Matthews showed his speed there and agility as he's able to go all the way down close to the 5, and that will be short, I believe. They're looking it over now, and there is an official timeout, and I believe they will go ahead and we'll have our first measurement of the night. Bombers leading 41-8 with 10 minutes left to go in the ball game. Matthews on that run able to go across the left side and get down for very close to the 10 yards needed for the 1st and 10. And they will stretch it. It looks like it will be, well, we can't tell from a vantage point here, but if it's short, it's going to be by about an inch. As the referee holds up his 2 fingers, and if my eyesight was good enough, I could see between his, I could see the difference between his finger and his thumb, but it's not much, folks.
Very, very close, Mike, very close.
And that will be a 2nd and just a smidgen to be able to get that ball resting right at the 5-yard line. He has to get to the 5 to get the first down, and the nose is just almost touching the 5. Chandler hands off again to Matthews, and he will be close to the touchdown as he goes ahead and stopped just short about the 1-foot line as Matthews does his version of Rocket Isham and has good speed getting through the left side of the hole there close to the touchdown.
You bet. Takes the ball, explodes right off into the line. Good game by the young man.
And that hole was opened up in there by Schrader along with, we're trying to get all these numbers and all these players as they come in. Schrader was there along with number 64, and that was Jason Lee. Lee and Schrader doing a good job in there along with Eli Wynn of opening that hole up and allowing Matthews to get very close to touchdown. And the referee's asking some fans to get back away from the fence there, and it will be 1st and goal at about the 1-foot line. And they will hand off to Matthews again, and they are ready for him this time as looks like he will be stopped short, and there will be no gain, and they will hold him out of the end zone and bring up a 2nd down and goal inside the 1-foot line for the Bombers. Matthews really wanted to get in that time.
Yes, he did, but good job by the Dickson defense, Mike. They rose to the occasion, tightened the center of that line up, and held him out.
And it will be a 2nd down and about 6 inches to get into the end zone. As the Comets give them credit, they are trying to stay in the ball game since it's out of hand. And that will be handed again, and they say he is again to Matthews, and he is still short.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, Dickson, they're not ready to give up any more points. They're playing good defense. Of course, we've got a young line in there, young running backs, and they're doing their darndest to keep us from getting in. And I'm going to tell you what, we're awfully close.
I really thought he had fallen into the end zone then, but the referee gave no indication, and it will be 3rd and about 6 inches one more time as Bombers trying to hammer this in for a score. That will be handed off to Bolton, and Bolton will cross the plane, and he will get the touchdown as the left side proved a little bit too tough. They went on the right side. Bolton gets in for the touchdown of about a foot. So the Bombers will go ahead 47-8 here with 7:52 left to go in the 4th quarter. Bolton will again try the extra point. And again, these are some things, Alan, that Blake Bolton is a kickoff man and Martin is a normal first-team extra point kicker. This gives them a chance in case there's ever an injury.
You bet, Mike. It's just like we mentioned earlier. You never know. Kick is up and it's good. Boy doing a good job, and you know, you just never know. You know, an injury, a lot of things can happen. You know, you might need a young man to take up and take someone's place, and this gives them a good opportunity to find out who can do what.
Bombers leading 48-8. Let's take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick. Blake Bolton there getting ready to kick off at the 40-yard line as the Bombers leading 48-8 with 7:52 as they have run off a lot of points in this lopsided affair. But what it is allowing a lot of players who have not had the opportunity, and a lot of tight games have been played this year, giving them an opportunity to show what they can do. And, Alan, they have really responded.
Right, Mike. You know, it kind of tickles you to get to see some of these young men come into the game tonight and give them the opportunity to get a little time on the playing field.
Bolton on the short kick, and that will be taken by number 27, David Rorsa. And the junior will take the short kick from the 35 and crosses the 35 to the 36. And don't believe that was deep on sides. I believe that was just one of those kicks that got it a little bit high. And the Comets will have it at their own 36. 1st and 10 here, trading 48-8 in the fourth quarter.
Right, Mike. You know, Bombers needed a game like this. They had a lot of tough games early in the year. Didn't have a chance to hardly to catch a breath between tough ball games. And this is good for them to kind of kick back, relax, and have a little fun tonight.
And McWilliams takes it over the left side for about 3 yards. Interesting thing there is Blake Bolton played that last play without his shoe on. He didn't have time to get it on, so he just left it off, and he was running around out there with without a left shoe. He comes out of the ball game to get that shoe on, and he's replaced back there by number 35, Ty Simmons. A lot of different Bombers on defense this time as Morrow, still the quarterback, pitches back to Collins, and Collins has a little bit of running room around the right side, and he'll be close to the first down, brought down by Simmons. And looks like he may have the first down as the referee looks it over.
Mike, he's awfully close. I believe they were going to measure, but from my vantage point, it does look like he made the first down. Give these young Bombers that's on defense now an opportunity to toughen up and try to make a hand.
In on defense is 44, Nick Cavillo, along with number 80, Jason Webb. Also in there, Kirk Wilson, number 70, Jason Wilson, number 75. And it will be a first down for the Comets. And number 9, Blake Callahan in there. And number 24 in there is Rodney Fuquay playing one of the defensive corners. Number 82, that's Brett Riggins, one of the linebacker slots. A lot of Bombers getting an opportunity to have some hits here. Morrow hands off to McWilliams, and McWilliams will cross the 50 and be hit back. And I believe that's number 44, Nick Cavillo, along with Riggins in there on the stop.
Right, Mike. Good run then by Dickson up the middle. Found a little running room. Picked up maybe about 5 yards. You know, it's once again, it's good to see a lot of these young men. Not only will we might need 1 or 2 of them this year, gives them a little playing experience, lets them get ready for the years ahead.
And that will be a 2nd and 5 as the Comets cross into Bomber territory. Pitch back to Epperson around the left side. Has some running room down to the 40, down to the 35. As Epperson had some running room, and there is a Bomber down as he crosses the 35 down to the 34, knocked out of bounds by several of the Bombers. And that will be good enough for the 1st and 10 as they do move the chains. And the Epperson's showing some good speed there, getting down to the 34-yard line for the 1st and 10.
Right, Mike. Looking number 9, Blake Callahan, out on the field. Looks like probably might have just had the wind knocked out of him. He is moving around a little bit. Don't anticipate it to be anything very serious. Probably just got the wind knocked out of him.
And Callahan is standing up, and that is indeed, and he looks over and says, hey, I want to stay in this ball game. Coach said you got to go out at least one play, and he's fine. Brings up a 1st and 10 for the Comets at the 34-yard line in Bomber territory. Clarence Allen in the ball game also at out there, a strong safety slot. Morrow looking over the defense, hands off to number 24 for the Comets, and that's Rocky Lekavitz.
Could you repeat that again, Mike?
Yes,
I didn't get that.
I was hoping that Rocky, I'm glad to see Rocky in the ball game for the Comets, but Lekavitz is as close as I can get out.
Mike, Bomber defense doing a little better job then, stepped up, closed the hole, held him to about 3 yards.
And brings up a 2nd and 8. Bombers leading 48-8, 5:20 left to go in the contest. Morrow looking over the Bomber defense, most of the 2nd and 3rd unit in there, hands off the ball to number 99. That's a young man that blocked that punt. That's Derek Knight. Derek's 5'10", 241 sophomore, and he rambles around the left side. That's a lot of beef on that young man.
That's right, and then Mike, he's built pretty close to the ground. He's one of those guys that's hard to bring down.
And it will bring up a 3rd and 1 as the Comets still trying to get, they're not giving up, and they want some respect, and they want to get into the end zone. Morrow still the quarterback, hands off to Knight across the right side, and Knight will get across down to the 21, down to the 20, and that should be enough for the 1st down, and it is. The ball will be spotted right at the 20-yard line. Bombers leading 48-8, 4:31 and counting here in this contest.
I believe that was Brett Riggins in on that last tackle, and right now is a good time for these young men to reach down and just see what they're made of, toughen up, and try to hold these Comets out of that end zone.
John Amix goes out on Lewis. They pitch it again tonight, and number 52, J.D. Thayer, comes in and trying to wrestle Knight down. And it will be, that was a 1st down play, and they will move ahead as Thayer does a good job getting Knight wrapped up, and he'll go ahead for about a yard gain, bring up a 2nd and a short 9.
Right, my good defense again then by the Bombers. Came up on the ball very quickly, got a hold of him. Looked like for a moment he might have him about the line of scrimmage. Of course, the young man is strong and carried him just a yard maybe into the pass for about a yard gain on the play.
And Knight, the sophomore, is in at fullback, and 24 is Lekavitz. Lekowitz takes the ball, and he will be met with short yardage and met there by Thayer and several of the other Bombers, along with Simmons there, and also number 52, that's J.D. Thayer. So that will be a no-game play.
Right, Mike, getting down closer to the end zone. These young Bombers have toughened up a little bit, looks like.
And they will... at the end of the play, they finally spot him about the yard. Let's call it 3rd and 7. And the ball is around the 16 and a half yard line in Bomber territory. Comets trying to move in here for a touchdown here in the late going. And Morrow comes around the left side. Now he's going to keep it, has some good running room around the left side as he came around the pass on the bootleg. And the receiver was covered, and he gets all the way down right at the 10-yard line and across it. And they're going to say that he did indeed cross the 10-yard line where he needed to go for the 1st down to around the 8, and it will be 1st and goal from the 8-yard line.
Right, Mike, and they're knocking on the door right now, and if they're going to do it, it's time for these younger Bombers to toughen up.
Morrow looking over the young defense out there. Bombers leading 48-8, and he hands off to Knight, and Knight rambles forward very close to the touchdown, and I believe there might have been a fumble. Let's see where they spot it. And the Bombers say they have it, and they indeed took the ball away from Knight.
About the 4-yard line.
about the 3 or 4 yard line, and Derek Knight is 5'10", 241 sophomore, and it looked like he might have a chance to go to the end zone, and one of the Bombers was able to wrestle it away from him. Might have been Clarence Allen, I'm not sure there, but they take it away from him, and that's got to be a boost for these young men out there playing on defense right now as they stop that Comet drive.
You bet, Mike. The Dickson boy, they stopped his forward motion, kind of stood him up. The Bombers surrounded him, grabbed arms, and the ball pops loose. Frederick takes over 1st and 10.
Good defense by the defensive unit as Chandler at quarterback for the Bombers. Ball on about their own 4-yard line, and they will hand off to Matthews over the left side. He will get out around the 10. Looks like they're going to mark it around the 10, give him a gain of about 6, bring up 2nd and 4, and we're under right at 1 minute and 30 seconds now. Bombers leading 48-8, have had this in control even from their first offensive play, went for a touchdown, and they have never looked back since that point.
Right, Mike. This is, like we mentioned earlier in the game, this has been a lot of fun tonight for a lot of the Bombers. Gives them a chance to go in the game.
And the good defense is there as a fumble. We'll see if the ball was handed off to Bolton, and he was met in the backfield, and the ball came out, but I believe the whistle had already blown prior to the ball being fumbled, and he loses about 1. We'll call it 3rd and 5 when we're under a minute left to go here in the ball game, and they can run this play out, and depending how much time, they may not even have to snap it again. Chandler at quarterback, looking over the Dickson defense, and he's on the option play, and he will be tackled right around the 9-yard line on the option play as he kept it rather than pitching down there deep in their own territory. And that will be 27 as the Dickson Comets call timeout. They're not content to let this clock run out. They'd kind of like to get another score here. Even though the Bombers leading 48-8, they blocked one punt. I think they'd like to see if they could do another one.
You bet, Mike. And they've driven a long ways tonight, and as of right now, 8 points is what they've got to take home with them. And I'm like you. I don't think they're going to be contented with that. They see a little glimmer of opportunity here to maybe get another score on the scoreboard, so they stop the clock. Probably going to make the Bombers punt the ball and see if they got 1 or 2 last chances to get that ball in the end zone.
And it will be Blake Bolton back to punt again, as Brandon Phillips will be doing the long snapping. And there is no one deep for the Comets, as this will be an all-out attempt to block this punt. There's a kick, and it's blocked, and the Dickson Comets get it, and it will be, does not go into the end zone, however. It'll be about the 1-yard line, and there'll be 20 seconds left. And I tell you what, the Dickson Comets, they do know how to block a punt, as they've been able to block 2, and that time that was on the first offense as they came in.
That's right, Mike. They sent everybody but the washwoman back there to get him that time. Like you said, they didn't leave anybody deep. They were going for a block punt all the way, and that's exactly what happened.
And the Bombers put the defense back in, and some of the Bombers saying, hey, we need some more guys out here, and there's a timeout on the field. Let's take a 30-second timeout, and we'll be back with this final play. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick. Back at Bomber Bowl, 20 seconds left in the ball game. After that block punt, the Comets have it at point-blank range, about the 1-yard line. This could be the last play, and they will hand it off straight up the middle, and it will be a touchdown. And that's 99. Derek Knight goes straight up the middle. He only needed less than 1 yard, and Knight is able to break the plane and get a score for the Comets, and it will be 48 to 14. 17 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter.
Mike, this one, 17 seconds left. They'll probably go for 2 again. Let's see if they pull out the razzle-dazzle as they did earlier in the game on their... no, they're going to just back up and kick this one,
looks like Jared Carpenter will be in to kick the extra point, and as there's the snap, it's a little high, gets it down, Carpenter's kick is up, and it is no good as it goes over off to the right, I believe. Kind of hard from this angle to tell. Kick was a high kick, and there will be 17 seconds left. The Bombers leading 48-14. Let's take a 30-second timeout. You're listening to KYB 95.9 Frederick. Successful. That's been the best offensive play they've had, has been 2 block punts, as their offense had to drive what, John, 2 yards on 2 drive, 1 yard each time. When you only have to go 1 yard, you know you can pretty well, most people can negotiate that, and the Comets were able to do that. Block punt being their best play of the night, as they've been able to block 2 and turn them into 14 points. 17 seconds left in this contest. Bombers leading 48-14, and the Dickson Comets will kick off from their 40. Bombers have 10 men right at the 50-yard line, expecting, of course, the onside, and it hits one of the Bombers. I believe that's Gaines, and he will recover. It hits him a very hard kick, and the Bombers will have one play with 14 seconds left, and they'll probably have to snap this ball one time, and then that will be the ball game. But I tell you, no telling what. No, we'll be able to wind the clock, and the clock will run down before the Bombers even have to come out. There's 10 seconds, 9, 8. Bombers will take a 48-14 win here at the Bomber Bowl over the Dickson Comets, and they will have one more regular season game here in Frederick. And Alan, this has been a very clean game, even though it's been lopsided.
Right, Mike. You know, you do have to commend the Dickson. They have been down right almost from the initial kickoff, right from the very first tick of the clock, and they held their head up high. They didn't quit. They, you know, showed a lot of character, and they took the loss well. And you know, if they stay at it,